Get ready, Friar Faithful. This is the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network.
Jackson swings, hits it in the air, deep to right field. He has done it again. Unbelievable.
Coming up, we'll have a recap of the previous Padres game, a preview of today's starting pitching matchup, our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Mike Shildt.
Ultimately, what we're here to do is win.
From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today, the Padres take on the Philadelphia Phillies in the opener of a three-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Padres, right-hander Ryan Bergert, and for the Phillies, left-hander Ranger Suarez. Hi again, everyone. Sam Levitt with you from inside the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 6:40 as we get ready for this series opener, the final series before the All-Star break. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we have a lot to do. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We'll also hear from tonight's starting pitcher Ryan Bergert. We'll hear from the newest Padres All-Star just announced earlier today. Adrian Morejon is heading to Atlanta, one of three Padres relievers heading to the 2025 All-Star game. We'll hear from Adrian. We'll also check in with Bob Scanlon in just a few minutes and much, much more. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971. With three locations, La Mesa, Vista, and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres entered today 50-43. They entered the day sitting a half game out of the final wild card spot in the National League. Phillies, meanwhile, 54-39 coming in. They're a game and a half up on the Mets for first place in the National League East. This is the final series before the All-Star break. Like I said, these two teams played in Philadelphia just last week. The Phillies won 2 of 3. While the Padres were aiming for a series split against the D-backs last night, let's rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Padres trailed 2-0 going bottom 3 yesterday. Fernando Tatis Jr. led off in the third.
3-2. And Tatis swings, sends it in the air to deep center field. Thomas racing straight back. He is at the wall. This one gonna go dead central for Fernando. His 16th of the year, and now a 2-1 game here in the third.
That ended a 14-game homerless drought for Fernando. Padres still down 2-1, bottom 4. They scratched across a run to make it 2-2. Bottom 5, we were still tied at 2. It was Manny Machado who led off.
First pitch coming. Manny hacks it in the air to deep left field. Gurriel gonna watch this one. Gonna go! Manny Machado, a go-ahead homer. 16th of the season, and the Padres lead for the first time tonight. It's 3-2.
Later in the inning, it was Xander Bogaerts.
Pitch on the way, and Bogaerts hits it hard on the ground. Fair up the third baseline. That'll roll all the way into the corner. Sheets is on his horse. He's at third. He's going to be waved. Here comes the relay to the plate. Not in time. RBI double Xander Bogaerts, and the Padre lead is now 4-2.
Adrian Morejon pitched an inning and 2/3 scoreless in relief. Jason Adam pitched the 7th inning. Geraldo Perdomo hit an RBI double to make it 4-3, but Adam kept the Padres ahead. Jeremiah Estrada pitched the scoreless 8th inning. It was Robert Suarez in the 9th with the Padres up by 1.
First pitch to him, and Naylor swings, grounds it to the right side. Cronenworth has it at first base. He'll bring it himself, and the ball game is over. Suarez, for the second time this week, a 1-2-3 ninth inning against the Diamondbacks, picks up his major league leading 27th save of the season, and the Padres are in a 4-game split with Arizona as they win this one by a final of 4-3.
Padres doing a nice job splitting the 4-game series, as Jesse said, and now they turn the page to this series opener against the Philadelphia Phillies. As always, if you want to get involved on our pregame coverage, you can Get involved by tweeting at me or Xing me, whatever the kids are saying these days. It's Sammy Lev, SammyLev. Instagram DM's open as well. Sammy Lev there too. You can also comment on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube stream. Let me know who you are, where you're tuned in from. If you have a key to today's game, let me know what that key is, and I may just read it live here on the air. As we get ready for first pitch at 6:40, let's go inside the Jerry Coleman Broadcast Center.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Bob Scanlon in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Bob Scanlon joining Jesse Agler on today's radio broadcast. And Scan, the news of the day coming into this one, Adrian Morejon named to the 2025 National League All-Star team. Really well-deserved, and Scans on a number of different levels. This is a really outstanding story for Adrian and the Padres.
Thank God there is some justice in this game, right, Sam? I mean, Adrian Morejon should have been on the All-Star team from the get-go. This guy has been the best left-handed reliever in baseball. He's been absolutely dominant and so impressive in terms of not only how well he's pitched, but his versatility. And Mike Shildt talked about it last night. We've talked about it multiple times. It doesn't matter if you need him in the 7th inning, the 8th inning. We've seen him come in the 4th inning. Last night it was the 5th, and he can also save, come in the 9th and shut down a save opportunity. So Adrian Morejon has just been absolutely fantastic, and I'm so glad that he finally got an opportunity to go to this All-Star game, because we talked about it a couple of days ago, and I said, hey, man, you should be going. And he appreciated the sentiment, but he's like, I know I'm doing well. I just need to keep taking care of business on the mound, and that's what he's done all season long. So good for him. He deserves it. I'm glad that he's also going to start getting some national attention for how dominant he's been, because he's really put in a lot of work, and it's been fun to watch as Padre fans to watch him grow, right? I mean, from a kid he's coming over from Cuba. They try him in the starting rotation, had some success at times, but more often some struggles, had some injury issues. It was sort of back and forth all over the place. And then last year goes to the bullpen, and it wasn't lights out right away, right, Sam? I mean, it was a little bit of a development process from there as well. But all said and done, here he is, and I couldn't be happier for him.
Well said, Scans. I agree with all you said there about Adrian Morejon. Just a great, great story for him in this organization. Let's talk about tonight's starting pitching matchup. Ryan Bergert returning to the rotation for the first time since late June when he got hit by that line drive on the forearm. Good to see he was not out for long. What will you be looking for from Ryan Bergert in this first start back?
Yeah, just more of the same of what this kid's been doing, right? He's got a good fastball, slider, sweeper, sinker, changeup. He needs to use all of those pitches. There's not one that's sort of the dominant electrifying, I'm going to put you out with this type pitch. He needs to pitch, and he's done that. He can get the ball to all quadrants. I think he does a nice job of pitching in. We saw that in some of his early starts, and he's not intimidated by anything. We've seen him pitch well against the Dodgers, against the Giants, against the Diamondbacks. A lot of those games have been on the road as well. So no reason to think that we're not going to see more of the same out of Ryan Bergert, a kid that's just going to go after you, fill up the zone, and not get flustered if there's runners on base. And it's going to be a good test for him today. This is a good Phillies lineup.
Padres will see some of the Phillies' best starting pitching in this series. They've got Zach Wheeler tomorrow, Christopher Sanchez on Sunday, but first things first, they face the very tough lefty Ranger Suarez here today. He comes in with a 1.99 ERA on the season in 77 innings. He's been terrific as of late. What makes a guy like Ranger Suarez so tough?
Great command, Sam. He can stay down in the zone. He knows how to use his stuff. So how he works lefties is different than how he works righties. With the righties, he's going to be four-seamer cutter in on the hands. Everything else is going to be pretty much down and away. Against the lefties, he's going to use the sinker in the changeup on the glove side, inside part to the lefties. The rest of his pitches down and away. And when you look at his heat graphs, it's not sort of this scattering of some pitches here, some pitches there. It's red in certain spots, which means that he's consistently getting to those locations. So not overpowering. His fastball is going to be, 91 miles an hour maybe? So you don't have to worry about that necessarily. But, dang, this guy, he's going to keep the ball down. He knows how to pitch, and it's a good test. I mean, as you mentioned, all of these starters for the Phillies are legit. We saw that in Philadelphia. We didn't give him a chance to see Suarez, so I'm really curious to see what he's got today.
And Suarez has been historically good against the Padres, and he's kind of a throwback, too, the way he goes about it. But he is really, really tough. Scans, we'll talk to you and Jesse coming up at 6:30. Appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
All right, Sam. Talk to you later.
All right, Bob Scanlon joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game, game one of this three-game series between the Padres and the Philadelphia Phillies. It is a City Connect Friday night. Everybody having a good time here inside the loft at the Western Meadow Building, enjoying their beers and their mixed drinks and maybe getting involved in the 50-50 charity raffle as well. They've got Keon here walking around the loft with the 50-50 charity raffle if you want to get involved with that. So many opportunities to have a good time and enjoy yourself on a Friday evening here in downtown San Diego. When we come back, we hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Plus, a little bit later, we hear from tonight's starting pitcher Ryan Bergert. We also hear from the newest National League All-Star, very well-deserved honor for Adrian Morejon. So a lot to do between now and first pitch. Much more coming up on our pregame coverage. This is the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Meadow Building at Petco Park. Again, first pitch coming up at 6:40 for this series opener against the Philadelphia Phillies. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt coming up in a little bit. We'll also hear from tonight's starting pitcher Ryan Bergert. We'll hear from the newly selected All-Star Adrian Morejon. Adrian named a replacement today for Phillies right-hander Zach Wheeler, who will pitch on Saturday. So that's one of the reasons that Wheeler is not going to participate in the All-Star game, because he is pitching on Saturday. So the replacement was Morejon, extremely well-deserved for Adrian Morejon. He is the first Padres homegrown All-Star since Jake Peavy in 2007. And also, how about this? This was really quite the note from Elias earlier today. The Padres are the first team to ever have 3 or more relief pitchers selected to the All-Star game in the same season. It's now Morejon, Jason Adam, and Robert Suarez. So we talked last night about how important, how unique the big four in the bullpen is. Suarez, Adam, Morejon, Estrada. Well, 3 out of the 4 going to the All-Star game. And again, according to Elias, it has never been done in the same season by a single team. So pretty special, and should be a fun one here at Petco Park tonight. The Phillies come in 54-39, the Padres at 50-43. As we get ready for today's game, let's hear from Padre manager Mike Shildt.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Served up by Sin Lee Food, where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
The Oracle yesterday, I think you spoke it into existence, right? You said Morejon pitched like an all-star, and whoa, lo and behold, we wake up this morning.
How about that, Palm? Yeah, I mean, well-deserved. Congratulations. You know, I'm glad to see our relieving corps getting the rightful attention it gets. You know, a lot of times we celebrate it with guys, and we talk about at the end of games we bring it home. But a lot of times for those guys to have done that, we have done something offensively that also catches people's eye, and you know, a 7th and 8th inning that throws up a 0, or even the 6th, or yesterday the end of the 5th, and getting to the 6th can get overlooked. And but it's good to see the industry. I don't overlook it; it can get overlooked. But you know, a guy named Randy Cho was a reliever a long time. He said, you know, relievers are people too, and you know, to see those guys getting their right acclamation and acknowledgement is really important. And Morejon is more than deserving of that. I'm super happy for him.
You got a couple more days left. You want to predict anybody else?
My Nostradamus days are over for a moment.
Let me ask you a contextual question, Mike. We've talked before about parsing out a record and where you are against teams that are plus 500. But in terms of context, here you are playing the Phillies, leading the East, but you are only in July. So if you would, through your prism and lens, how do you view a series like this against this type of team, but where you are in the month?
Yeah, my answer is probably going to be boring, Palm, because I just view this as very much day to day, and we are in today against a series against a good club in Philadelphia, and we're looking forward to competing against it. But I'm a regardless of circumstance kind of guy, and you know, every game is a game 7-ish for me. We can't approach them that like from a bullpen standpoint, but from a preparation, from a dedication to competition. And my wrap-up point really is it's really about us. It's about how we compete. And, you know, it's we were going to respect, we're going to prepare for our opponent, but we need to take care of our own business and how we play the game. We play the game irrespective of opponent and do it right, and that's our best chance to win. And a lot of times that'll take place, and we'll shake hands.
The human element.
That makes sense?
Yeah. The human element, though, from a player's perspective, is it viewed at all as any type of litmus test? Because you know, if you get where you want to be, this might be a team you could see when it is postseason time.
Again, our litmus test is against ourselves. So, you know, I appreciate that, but, you know, they might be saying the same thing playing us. It's about how we play. You know, our litmus test is against how we perform, regardless of opponent. We're always going to have good opponents, a very good opponent on the other side. So I'm not how sure. I know it's a simple way, and maybe people want more or less, but that's the way I view the world.
Roster move for Bergert?
Yes, it's Nunez. Yeah, and, you know, tough. We just had the conversation, and congratulations. You know, made the All-Star, or you know, made the big leagues, and well deserving of it. But you know, now with Bergert, there's a roster move. We've been able to carry 9 relievers, which you know we've needed. You know, relative to the stretch of games and some of the way we've competed. And I thought he did a good job. And I think I don't think this guy's going to be a good big league pitcher. He just needs to go back down and take what he learned here and keep working on his craft. But he's got a nice arm. His slider's good. You know, he did a nice job. But you know, for him, the move was for with Bergert on the roster.
With Bergert tonight, obviously the results before going on the IL had been really, really good for him. What are you going to look for tonight from him as he returns?
Yeah, more of the same. He did a great job of controlling strikes. He did a great job of not making it bigger than it is. He made a lot of quality pitches consistently, and had a game plan and worked with the catcher. You know, tonight it'll be Diaz, and just go execute your pitches and be able to do the controllables, and he's done a nice job of that.
A couple pretty tough lefties on the mound for the Phillies in this series. Any lineup tweaks you're thinking about?
With the lineups out tonight, you got Iglesias in there. We've used him against lefties. I'd expect that to be continued through, on Sunday as well. Our lefties are, Sheets had his first 3-hit game against a lefty in his career last night, so that was clearly positive. As far as our lineup's going to be pretty much consistent with what it's been, I would guess, for Sunday. We got 3 good pitchers on the other side, and we've got to be able to go compete and take those quality at bats that I'm confident we will.
When you get to this part of the season, you're 3 left to the All-Star break. You get that nice long, 4-day stretch. Do you feel a little energy when you almost get to like that benchmark where there's maybe a little extra emphasis on the series just from an electricity perspective?
Yeah, I think the series, for both sides, I can't only speak for ours, and I can't speak for everybody. There's probably a little bit of everything, right? It could also be a human trap too, knowing that we love it, but this has been it'll be the first back-to-back days off that anybody in this group's had since early February. So, there can be an escape, the human component that says, yeah, I'm going to the All-Star game, or I'm going fishing, or I'm going to see my family, or I'm going home and sleep in, my home bed. That's very human. But the separator at this level is to be able to handle and set aside the humanness and focus on what's important, and that's tonight in this 3 games. So it can be a little bit of everything for everybody. So, but I can promise you this group will be focused to go compete today and through this weekend.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt earlier today inside the Padres dugout. We'll hear more from Mike on our post-game coverage coming up later on this evening. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 6:40. Let's quickly pause for station ID on the Padres Radio Network.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
Hi, this is Jackson Merrill. The Padres play here on 97.3 The Fan.
An Odyssey Sports Station.
Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. Everybody having a good time on this Friday evening, getting ready for Game 1 of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Philadelphia Phillies. Final series before the All-Star break. And should be a fun one. It's obviously a tough series for the Padres. Phillies, a very good team, first-place team in the National League East. But we'll see if the Padres can find a way to win this series and pick up some momentum heading into the break. Let's take you around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
We take a look at headlines from around the major leagues. Let's start with an update on the Home Run Derby happening on Tuesday in Atlanta. We do have a swap out. Ronald Acuna Jr. no longer participating in the Home Run Derby. Instead, Matt Olson, his teammate, now will replace Acuna in the Home Run Derby, but the Braves continue to say that Acuna will start for the National League in Tuesday's All-Star game, but again, Olson will participate in the Home Run Derby. So the field is now finalized. The Home Run Derby field looks like this. 8 participants. First is Matt Olson, then Jazz Chisholm Jr., Cal Raleigh of the Mariners, James Wood of the Nationals, O'Neal Cruz of the Pirates, Brent Rooker of the A's, Junior Caminero of the Rays, and Byron Buxton of the Minnesota Twins. So that is your 2025 Home Run Derby field. Other news from around the game, the Red Sox activating All-Star third baseman Alex Bregman from the 10-day IL earlier today. before their game against Tampa Bay. Bregman had been sidelined since late May with a right quad strain. We have 15 replacements for the All-Star game so far. Some of them include Carlos Rodon, Carlos Estevez, and Casey Mize named replacement pitchers for the American League team. Royals third baseman Michael Garcia took the place of Brandon Lau. Mariners Randy Arozarena took the place of teammate Julio Rodriguez. Rays right-hander Drew Rasmussen replaced Angels lefty Yusei Kikuchi, and Adrian Morejon, as we know, replaced Zach Wheeler. So a number of different reasons that guys will have to not participate in the All-Star game. That could be injury, that could be scheduling in the case of Zach Wheeler, and they want to have enough arms to pitch in the game. So that's why you have a number of these moves. So good for all those guys, the replacements on the All-Star rosters. Astros called up top-ranked prospect Bryce Matthews from AAA today. Dodgers look to avoid losing 7 games in a row for the first time since dropping 11 in a row back in September of 2017. Dodgers play the Giants in San Francisco tonight. And that is a full look at our headlines from around the major leagues. When we come back, we'll hear from tonight's starting pitcher, Ryan Bergert, plus we hear from Padres lefty and newly selected All-Star Adrian Morejon. Our keys to the game, a full breakdown of today's starting pitching matchup, and much, much more to come. First pitch is coming up at 6:40 right here on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. EcoWater SoCal. Your water should be perfect. We'll hear from Adrian Morejon coming up in just a little bit. We'll also hear from tonight's starting pitcher, Ryan Bergert, in a moment as well. But first, let's tell you who's in, who's out.
Who's in, who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at BadaFulkerson.com.
Well, who's in for the Padres? Ryan Bergert returning to the rotation after being hit by a line drive on June 24th against the Washington Nationals. Also, who's in for the Phillies? Max Kepler fouled the pitch off his leg in his final at-bat on Wednesday in San Francisco. Later exited the game, but Kepler is back in the lineup for Philadelphia today. And that's a quick look at our injury report as we get ready for game one of this 3-game series. A quick look at the lineup today for the Padres. It looks like this for Mike Shildt and company. Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field leading off. Luis Arraez at first base batting second. Manny Machado at third base batting third. Gavin Sheets in left field batting cleanup. Xander Bogaerts, the DH, batting fifth. Jackson Merrill in center batting sixth. Jose Iglesias at shortstop batting seventh. Jake Cronenworth at second base batting eighth. And Elias Diaz doing the catching and batting ninth. Again, Ryan Bergert on the mound for the Padres here tonight. Bergert was hit by a line drive in his right forearm in late June, like we said, against the Washington Nationals. And the good news, no broken bones, anything like that, just a bruise. And Bergert did have to spend some time on the IL. Missed a couple of starts, did make one rehab appearance at AAA El Paso. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. But here was Ryan Bergert inside the Padres clubhouse with Bob Scanlon and Padres Spanish radio broadcaster Pedro Gutierrez.
Ryan, how excited are you about getting back on that mound?
Oh, obviously very excited. These last 15 days have been kind of tough, watching everyone play. But excited to get back out there.
As hard as you got hit, was there an initial concern that it might have been more serious? Were you kind of relieved that it wasn't more than kind of know it's going to be 15 days, but I'm going to be okay through all this?
Initially when it happened, I was more worried about, the structure in the bone and everything. Didn't feel too great. But once the x-rays were come back fine, and, I was kind of, it's like, all right, I'll be fine, And then I think 15 days were more precaution type of thing. So, yeah.
Did you get a chance to work on anything new during this period, or was it more just trying to stay sharp and keep doing what you've been doing successfully coming into this?
Really just trying to stay sharp. I think just taking this time kind of, I was like a mental break per se, but just kind of a little decompress. It's been, going for a while. We had that stretch of 26 or 27 straight games. So, that's been tough on everybody, but definitely new to me. So, taking time to decompress and just get ready to go back after it.
When you're doing that decompression, are you looking back on some of your outings and maybe trying to look at it from a different point of view as opposed to get ready for the next one right away?
Yeah, for sure. I think this last 2 weeks or so, I've every day just kind of thinking of outings and thinking of situations that I've been in, what I could have done better. And so I think that's definitely been one of the things I've been doing for sure.
Yeah. As far as the pitching count goes, where do you expect to be going into this?
I think I should be pretty well ramped up. My rehab start was up to 62. I went out to the fifth inning, so I think normal start should be expected, at least in my end. So
things have changed a bit since the last time you were here with the injury. Darvish stacked. How do you look at the collective starting pitching for the Padres? He came back. Now you're back, getting a little bit stronger on that front.
Yeah, I think having you back is definitely a strength. I've been able to watch him coming up the minor leagues, and being able to watch him here has been really a treat. Being able to pick his brain and some bullpens and things on certain pitches, and just he brings a bit of a comfort, I think, to the clubhouse for sure.
With the rehab, you've been out of action the last couple of weeks. Come back from the mound, but then you'll have a couple of days off with the All-Star break. How important do you think will be, like in general, collectively for the whole team, just to have that rest up to the mid-season point?
Yeah, I think it's great. Guys can enjoy themselves a little bit, get a little recovery that's been much needed for everybody. And obviously our All-Stars being able to go and perform at that stage will be very fun to watch as well. So
the experience of just pitching under Mike Shildt and working with Niebla, talk a little bit about that, how they've been able to work within your strengths and put you in a position of success.
Yeah, I think really the message they've been sending me is to go out and trust my stuff and see what it does at this level. It's worked up to this far, and really just trying to have them making me believe in myself. So I think that's been the biggest thing so far. So
for sure, the majors this first half, you got a particular highlight that you would like to remember the first win, the good start in LA.
I think the first win probably be the first one up there, and then the debut obviously here in Petco, the crazy environment, but first win in the Yankee Stadium is pretty cool also.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by El Centro Motors Ford. Meet your new Ford General Manager, Greg Ryan, now at El Centro Motors Ford, your new Ford truck, Bronco, and SUV HQ. Call Greg directly at 619-944-0774.
Key number one, don't let Harper get hot. Bryce Harper had 4 extra base hits in the Phillies win on Wednesday in San Francisco, 3 doubles and a home run. Phillies beat up on the Giants in San Francisco on Wednesday, 13-0. Harper had been struggling before that, going just 5 for 39 in his previous 12 games. So hopefully the Padres can prevent Bryce Harper from getting hot after a big day in San Francisco on Wednesday. Key number 2, Manny and Fernando against Ranger. Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. are just a combined 4 for 23 against Phillies starter Ranger Suarez with no extra base hits against him. So the question is, can both those two players provide a little pop today against Suarez? They both homered in last night's win. Manny has 3 home runs in his last 7 games, while Fernando snapped a 14-game homerless drought last night. Fernando also in the midst of a 12-game on-base streak. He has a .418 on-base percentage in that span. So can Fernando and Manny get something done against the very tough lefty Ranger Suarez tonight? That's key number 2. Key number 3, Gavin Sheets' success against another lefty. Sheets had 3 hits against D-backs left-hander Eduardo Rodriguez last night. The first time in his career he's had 3 hits against the lefty in a single game. Sheets is now batting .425 in his past 40 at-bats against lefties and hitting .289 against them this season. That's 121 points higher than his average against left-handers in his first 4 seasons. So not only has Gavin Sheets had a great first half, and he's been so important to this team, and he's been such a welcome addition, but he's also been much, much better against left-handed pitching in particular. He faces another lefty here tonight in Ranger Suarez. That's key number 3. Key number 4, and this is a big one to me, prevent the Schwarbomb. Kyle Schwarber needs just 1 home run this weekend to become only the 2nd player in Phillies franchise history to reach 30 home runs before the All-Star break. Mike Shildt had 31 before the break in 1979. Kyle Schwarber, one of the most prolific home run hitters we have in the game today. He has always done good things against the Padres. Padres have to get him, or at least they have to contain him here tonight in this series. And again, he's only 1 away from 30 on the season, would be the 2nd ever Philly to have 30 home runs before the All-Star break. And that's a look at our keys to the game with first pitch coming up here at Petco Park at 6:40. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have a doubleheader in Chicago today. The first game already final. Guardians winning it 4-2 against the White Sox. They're in game 2 of that doubleheader. Guardians 2 and the White Sox 1 in the 3rd. Yankees lead the Cubs 8-0 in New York in the 8th inning right now. Orioles lead the Marlins 5-0 in Baltimore in the 8th. Rockies ahead of the Reds 3-2 in the 8th inning in Cincinnati. Mariners ahead of the Tigers 4-3 in Detroit in the 7th. Rays 4, Red Sox 3 at Fenway in the 7th inning. Pirates and the Twins are scoreless in the 3rd in Minnesota. Rangers leading the Astros 5-1 in Houston in the 3rd. Brewers lead the Nationals 7-1 in Milwaukee in the 5th inning. Braves 6, Cardinals 2 in the 3rd in St. Louis. The Mets and the Royals yet to begin. They've been delayed due to rain in Kansas City. Other games still coming up. Diamondbacks and the Angels in Anaheim at 6:38. Blue Jays and the A's in Sacramento at 7:05. And finally, Dodgers and the Giants in San Francisco later on at 7:15. Pitching matchup there. Dustin May on the mound for LA. Logan Webb on the mound for San Francisco. And that's a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Friday. We'll have much more on all those games coming up on our post-game coverage. When we come back, we take a much deeper look at today's starting pitching matchup between Ryan Bergert and Ranger Suarez. Plus, we hear from the newly selected first-time All-Star Adrian Morejon. First pitch coming up at 6:40 against the Phillies. We're back in a moment on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. First pitch coming up at 6:40 from Petco Park. Sam Levitt with you inside the Western Metal Building as we get ready for this series opener between the Padres and the Phillies. Ryan Bergert on the mound for San Diego. It's left-hander Ranger Suarez on the mound for Philadelphia. We'll tell you much more about those guys coming up in just a little bit, and we'll hear from the newly selected All-Star Adrian Morejon in a moment as well. First, let's tell you what to watch for in tonight's game.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For, presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for here tonight. Let's stay on the bullpen. What does the Padres bullpen look like tonight in what could be a close game? Here's why. Jason Adam threw 24 pitches in his major league leading 46th appearance last night. Robert Suarez, Jeremiah Estrada, and Adrian Morejon have all pitched 3 of the last 5 days. But again, nobody's pitched back-to-back days. However, Suarez, Estrada, Morejon, that's a heavy workload for him. My question tonight is, does Mike Shildt try to from any of those guys today? If so, who does he rely on in a close game instead? This is a really, really good Phillies lineup. There's a high likelihood you're going to need those high-leverage guys in the back end of your bullpen with a lead late. We'll see today. Again, heavy workloads lately. Suarez, Estrada, Morejon, Jason Adam threw a lot of pitches last night. Leads all the baseball in appearances. What does the bullpen management look like tonight? That's what to watch for in today's game. Speaking of the bullpen, well, Adrian Morejon, the newest Padres reliever heading to the All-Star game. It's Morejon, it's Adam, it's Suarez, the first career selection for Adrian Morejon. Well deserved. I caught up with Adrian inside the clubhouse earlier today alongside interpreter Jorge Merlos.
Adrian, congratulations on being named to your first All-Star game. What was your reaction to the news when you find out?
¿Qué era tu reacción cuando supiste que te dijeron que llegaste al juego de estrella?
Primero que todo, gracias. Y no, obvio, fue una reacción, o sea, tuve muchas emociones pasando en ese momento, ya que es mi primera selección para el Juego de las Estrellas. Y siento que todas las cosas pues salieron bien. Ayer gané el juego y hoy pues tengo esa noticia.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thanks so much. I was very grateful, very excited to get that news. When I found out, obviously yesterday, got the win as well. And, I get that news afterwards. And so just very grateful that all things that just came out the way that it did.
Adrian, how do you reflect on your journey to this moment and what it means to you to get this recognition?
Sí, nos puede dar ese recuerdo de cómo ha ido tu trayectoria por estos últimos años y ya llegar a este momento que puedes decir que sos parte del Juego de Estrella.
No, siento que ha sido un gran proceso todos estos años y pues desde el año pasado para acá pues he podido trabajar y sentirme saludable para poder demostrar todas las cosas que estoy demostrando, pero no, más que nada siento que ha sido un proceso bastante largo, pero siento que todo ese proceso ha ayudado a lo que está pasando ahora.
I think it's been a great process to get through and to, especially since the beginning of last year, just being able to transition and just all the hard work that we've been able to do over the past couple of years has been really paid off. And, I'm just glad that this new process has been able to turn out the way that it did.
You mentioned going back to last year, the results have been really good, and especially as of late. To you, what is the biggest key to the way you've performed?
Que ha sido esa gran clave que has podido hacer lo que estás haciendo ahí afuera en el terreno desde el año pasado?
He trabajado mucho la parte mental, mi preparación mental para estar listo en cada juego, es como digo siempre, por eso siento que este año ha dado más resultados todavía porque he podido estar listo en situaciones diferentes, estar preparado desde el quinto inning, a veces en el décimo, en el inning que sea, pero siento que la mayor clave ha sido mi preparación mental.
I think my biggest preparation has been my mental preparedness when I'm going out there and going to pitch. I'm ready whenever the call is being made, whether it's the 5th inning or the 10th inning, whatever it is, I'm ready to go out there. So I feel like that's the biggest key and the biggest change that I've been able to do over this past year.
That was Adrian Morejon alongside interpreter Jorge Merlos. Again, a big congratulations to Morejon on the All-Star selection. Left-hander Ranger Suarez on the mound for the Phillies today. He's 7-2, a 1.99 ERA in 77 innings so far this year. That ERA is fourth best among major league pitchers with at least 70 innings of work. He's allowed 2 or fewer runs in 9 consecutive starts, a 1.06 ERA in that span. He's made 5 career starts against the Padres, including the 2022 NLCS, a 2.23 ERA in 32-plus innings in those starts. Meanwhile, right-hander Ryan Bergert returns to the rotation for the first time since June 24th. Since joining the rotation in early June, he has a 3.13 ERA in 5 starts, a 2.67 ERA when you combine his 4 bullpen appearances earlier in the season. First career outing tonight against the Phillies. He made 1 rehab appearance after going on the IL. That came with AAA El Paso through 63 pitches. He's thrown as many as 90 this season. So we'll see what kind of length Ryan Bergert can give the Padres here today. As always, thank you for listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Your water should be perfect. When we come back, we send things out to Jesse Agler and Bob Scanlon. They have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.